Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. If you want to elevate, if you want to move from where you are to where you're destined to be, you can't sit around and wish for it. Wishing don't work. Faith without works is dead. Every single day you got to get up with the mindset you're going to work on something. You got to fight for your future before the day tries to fight you. Consistency beats talent when talent doesn't show up every day. That's a truth most people don't want to hear because it shifts the responsibility back onto them. People love to talk about being gifted, about having potential, about being born with something special. But let me tell you something. Having talent alone don't mean nothing if you're not willing to show up every single day and put in the work. I've seen people more talented than me, people sharper, funnier, more polished, but they didn't have the consistency. They work hard for a week, maybe even a month, and then disappear. Life don't reward who starts the strongest. It rewards who stays in the game the longest. It's not about what you do once in a while. It's about what you do daily. People look at success and think it's one big moment that changes everything, but it's not. It's a series of small moments done repeatedly with intention and purpose. Talent is flashy. It looks good on paper. It makes people clap when they see it. But consistency is quiet. It happens behind the scenes. It's the early mornings when nobody's watching. It's the late nights when everybody else is asleep. And it's the boring days when you show up anyway because you made a commitment to yourself. That's the real difference. That's what builds legacies. That's what separates the amateurs from the professionals. I'll tell you what else consistency does. It builds trust. People start to count on you. You become reliable, not just to them, but to yourself. And that's powerful. Because when you know you're the kind of person who shows up regardless of how you feel, you develop confidence. Real confidence. Not the fake, loud kind that needs attention, but the deep kind that says, I know who I am because I keep my word to myself. That right there, that's strength. That's power. That's maturity. You might not have the natural ability someone else has. Maybe you weren't born into the right family, or you didn't get the head start you wanted. But consistency can close the gap. It can level the field. Because while the talented person is waiting to feel inspired, the consistent person is building skills. While they doubting themselves, you're progressing. While they stuck in their emotions, you're developing habit. And that's the difference. Talent is what you start with. Consistency is what you end with. Let me tell you something else. Consistency beats perfection. Too many people don't start because they want everything to be perfect. They want the perfect idea, the perfect time, the perfect plan. But you don't need perfect. You need progress. You need momentum. You need to keep moving, even when it's messy, even when it's slow, even when it doesn't feel like it's working. Consistency allows you to learn, to improve, to adapt. You can't fix what you're not doing. You can't improve what you're not practicing. That's why showing up is more important than showing off. That's why doing it poorly today is better than not doing it at all. And don't confuse consistency with comfort. It won't always feel good. You won't always be motivated. There will be days when everything in you wants to quit. But those are the days that define you. Those are the days that shape your future. Consistency doesn't mean it's easy. It means it's necessary. You keep showing up even when you're tired, even when you're discouraged, even when no one else believes in what you're doing. Because deep down, you know this is the only way forward. This is the only way up. Talent may open the door, but consistency is what keeps you in the room. Your mind is your first battleground. Win there before the world sees you. Every single day, The first fight you're going to have is not with your boss, not with your circumstances, not even with the people around you. It's with your own thoughts. That little voice in your head is the first opponent you got to face every morning. Before you even get out of bed, that voice is whispering doubt, fear, excuses. It tells you to sleep in. It tells you you're not good enough. It reminds you of every failure, every rejection, every fear. And if you don't silence that voice and replace it with truth, it will shape how you walk into your day. The mind is powerful. It will believe whatever you feed it. If you tell it you're a victim, it will behave like a victim. If you tell it you're strong, capable, worthy, it will start acting like it. What people don't understand is your mind sets the tone for your entire life. If you walk out into the world with a defeated mindset, you'll see defeat even in opportunities. You'll second guess yourself even when the door is open. You'll talk yourself out of blessings that already have your name on them. That's why you've got to treat your mind like sacred ground. You don't let weeds grow there. You don't let just anything settle in there. You protect it, you guide it, you train it. Training your mind is a daily process. You don't do it once and then coast. You've got to renew it constantly. That means what you listen to, what you read, who you talk to, it all matters. You can't expect to have a champion mindset if you keep feeding yourself junk. Social media comparisons, negative conversations, and the news cycle will drain your spirit if you let them. You've got to be intentional about what you allow. Just like you wouldn't let garbage sit in your living room, you can't let mental garbage sit in your head. You've got to clean it out. Replace fear with faith. Replace worry with action. Replace defeat with resilience. Most people are waiting for external change, but transformation always starts in the mind. If you want to change your life, you've got to change how you think. You can't expect a new life with old thinking. You can't keep replaying the same mental movie and hope for a different ending. Your thoughts create your focus, and your focus creates your reality. If you keep focusing on what's wrong, what's broken, what you don't have, that's all you'll see. But if you shift your thinking toward growth, toward possibilities, toward solutions, you'll start to notice doors you never saw before. You'll feel energy you didn't have before. You'll become a magnet for better things because your mind is aligned with your goals. The most successful people aren't the smartest or the luckiest. They're the ones who learned how to master their thoughts. They wake up and take control of the conversation happening in their heads. They talk to themselves more than they listen to themselves. They speak life, strength, clarity, purpose, even when they don't feel it. Because feelings are temporary, but the mind is long-term. When you master the mind, you can navigate through fear, rejection, failure, and disappointment without being destroyed by them. This is why mental discipline is so important. You can be physically strong, financially stable, and still lose if you haven't developed mental toughness. Life will hit you with things you didn't see coming. And in that moment, the strength of your mind will decide whether you break or bounce back. You don't rise to the level of your intentions, you fall to the level of your mental preparation. Every morning is a test. Will you focus on fear or on faith? Will you focus on what you lack or what you've got left? That decision starts before you check your phone, before you leave the house, before the world demands anything of you. The real battle is internal. Because once you've conquered your thoughts, nothing outside of you can control your life. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you're going. It's not a secret weapon for the chosen few. It's a tool available to anyone who's ready to take responsibility for their own progress. Most people talk about dreams. They talk about goals. They make vision boards and write down affirmations, but very few are willing to build the bridge required to get there. Discipline is not glamorous. It doesn't give you instant results. It doesn't feed your ego. What it does is put you in position over time to transform your entire life. And that's something motivation can't do, because motivation comes and goes. But discipline shows up when motivation is gone. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline keeps your word when your emotions start shifting. There's a difference between interest and commitment. Interest means you'll do it when it's easier, when it's convenient, when it feels good. Commitment means you'll do it regardless. Discipline holds you together when everything around you tries to pull you apart. When distractions start knocking, when excuses start sounding reasonable, when people around you start quitting, it's discipline that keeps you focused. Because deep down, you know you didn't come this far just to come this far. You didn't fight through struggle, pain, and setback just to give in to a lazy moment. And if you truly believe in what you're building, then you've got to be the kind of person who shows up even when the crowd is gone and the applause has stopped. Discipline is the art of saying no to temporary pleasure in exchange for long-term greatness. And that ain't easy. It means turning off the TV when your friends are binging another season. It means waking up early when your body wants 10 more minutes. It means choosing the gym over comfort, the grind over distraction, the mission over momentary comfort. Nobody sees discipline, but everybody sees what discipline produces. That's what people don't realize. They see the success, the car, the confidence, the peace, but they don't see the early mornings, the consistent habits, the small sacrifices made daily without recognition. That's bridge. That's the path most avoid because it looks hard, and it is, but it works. You never rise above the level of your habits. If your habits are weak, your results will be weak. You don't need a massive overhaul overnight. You need small, repeated steps done with intention. You brush your teeth every day, not because you're inspired, but because you know the damage that neglect can do. Apply that same mindset to your goals. Show up for them like they're essential, because they are. Discipline is about consistency over intensity. 1 hour every day is better than 10 hours once a month. The compound effect of your discipline will create a version of you that people won't even recognize a year from now. And understand this, discipline creates freedom. People think it's the opposite. They think discipline means restriction, limitation, or boring life. But in reality, discipline sets you free, free from regret, free from chaos, free from the anxiety that comes from living without direction. When you're disciplined, you walk with clarity. You feel proud of yourself. You become trustworthy in your own eyes. You stop being a slave to your moods and start being the master of your moments. That's where your real power comes from. Every day you have a choice. You can take a step forward with discipline or a step back with distraction. And nobody's going to force you. That's why it's so powerful. It's yours. It's the most personal, most honest form of self-respect. You don't do it to impress people. You do it because you know you're built for more and you're willing to work for it even when nobody's watching. Discipline makes you dangerous, not to others, but to everything that tried to hold you back. You can't control life, but you can control your response. That simple truth changes everything once you really understand it. Life is going to come at you in ways you never expected. Plans will fall apart. People will disappoint you. Setbacks will hit you from angles you didn't see coming. You can prepare all you want. You can set goals and map out your journey, but there will always be things beyond your control. That's just how life works. The market shifts, relationships change, health issues arise, and sometimes it feels like the ground beneath you is shaking, But in the middle of that storm, there's one thing that remains yours: your response. That's the power you hold that nobody can take from you. The moment you stop trying to control everything and instead focus on controlling your reaction, you take your power back. You see, most people waste their energy trying to change things they can't. They get frustrated with people, angry at the past, bitter about what didn't go their way. And all that energy does is keep them stuck, because you can't rewind time. You can't force someone to treat you differently. You can't make life fair, but you can choose how you respond to the unfair. You can choose your mindset when things get tough. You can choose grace over resentment, action over paralysis, peace over panic. Your response determines the direction your life moves in. You can spiral down with your emotions, or you can rise up with your decision. Learning to control your response is like building a muscle. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's not always easy. But every time you pause before reacting, every time you choose wisdom over impulse, you get stronger. You gain control. You take the power away from your circumstances and bring it back into your hands. You become less reactive and more reflective. Instead of letting your emotions run your life, you start guiding your emotions. You start saying to yourself, I may not like this, I may not have asked for this, but I still get to decide what happens next. That's ownership. That's maturity. That's growth. People will hurt you. Life will throw unexpected punches, but you don't have to carry the pain forever. You don't have to wear your wounds like a badge. When you control your response, you start to heal. You start to find peace, not because everything is perfect, but because you've learned to protect your inner world. You stop giving away your joy to people who didn't earn it. You stop giving your peace to problems that don't deserve it. And that shift, that choice to protect your response, is what separates strong people from broken ones. This is why emotional discipline is so important. Your reaction can either fix the situation or fuel the fire. You don't have to respond to everything that offends you. Not every battle deserves your energy. Not every comment deserves a reply. Sometimes silence is more powerful than shouting. Sometimes walking away takes more strength than staying to prove your point. When you realize that your energy is limited, you become selective with what you give it to. You start investing it in growth, in peace, in purpose, rather than wasting it on drama and chaos. The strongest people are not the ones who avoid pain, but the ones who respond to pain with power. They don't let loss break them, they let it build them. They don't let failure define them, they let it teach them. They don't let people's negativity drown them, they rise above it. And all of that begins with one simple choice. How will I respond to this moment? Not how will I feel, because feelings are natural, but how will I respond despite how I feel? That's the decision that builds character. That's the decision that builds resilience. That's the decision that creates a life of purpose and direction, even when life itself feels out of control. Growth is painful, but staying the same is more dangerous. Most people avoid growth not because they don't want to be better, but because they don't want to go through what it takes to get better. Growth demands discomfort. It demands you to leave what's familiar, even when what's familiar is holding you back. It asks you to face parts of yourself you rather ignore, to unlearn things you were taught to believe, to stretch into versions of yourself that don't feel natural yet. And that process is not easy. It hurts. It requires sacrifice. It requires honesty. But the truth is that pain is necessary. That pain is the sign that transformation is taking place. The greater danger is in comfort zones that slowly kill your potential while making you believe you're safe. When you choose to avoid growth, you also choose to avoid opportunity. You stay stuck in cycles that repeat themselves. Same frustrations, same mistakes, same limitations. You might not feel the pain immediately, but over time, you begin to feel the weight of stagnation. You start feeling unfulfilled, bored, anxious. You wonder why nothing's changing. But deep down, you know it's because you're not willing to change. And here's the thing, life doesn't stay still. The world around you keeps moving. If you're not growing, you're falling behind. You're missing out on becoming the person you're meant to be because you're clinging to the comfort of who you've always been. It takes courage to grow. It takes courage to say, I'm not satisfied here, and do something about it. It takes courage to let go of people who no longer align with your path. It takes courage to admit that your habits, your mindset, your excuses, they're not helping you anymore. Growth isn't just about adding new things, it's about letting go of the old. And that letting go can feel like loss, but it's not loss. It's space. It's making room for something greater, for a new mindset, a new environment, a new level of faith, focus, and discipline that you didn't have before. The most dangerous thing you can do is live a life of repetition with no elevation. Just going through the motions day after day, knowing you were made for more, but never doing anything about it. That's what kills dreams. Not failure, not rejection, but fear of discomfort. You won't grow if you keep choosing easy. You won't evolve if you keep choosing what's familiar. Growth means you have to look your fears in the face and keep going anyway. You have to keep showing up, even when progress feels slow. You have to keep pushing forward, even when no one sees the effort you're making behind the scenes. People want the results of growth without the reality of growth. They want the confidence, the success, the peace, but they don't want the lonely nights, the hard conversations, the internal battles. But you can't skip the process. The process is where the strength is built. The process is where the clarity comes. It's in the struggle that you learn what you're made of. It's in the pressure that you discover your potential. Growth never feels good while it's happening, but it always feels worth it once it's done. The key is to stop avoiding pain and start choosing the pain that leads to purpose. There's a difference between the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. One sharpens you, the other breaks you down. One moves you forward, the other holds you back. You have to decide which pain you're willing to live with, because staying the same might feel safe now, but it will cost you later. It will cost you dreams that never got built, talents that never got developed, and peace that was never found. Growth may be painful, but it's the only path that leads you to the life you're truly capable of living. Your future is built quietly in daily habits, not public applause. We live in a world that celebrates results, highlights, and outcomes. But what really shapes your destiny is what you do when no one's watching. It's not the big moments that define you. It's the small, repeated actions that seem insignificant in the moment, but stack up over time. That early morning when you choose to read instead of scroll. The gym session when you didn't feel like going. The decision to show up to work with integrity even when you're exhausted. Those choices matter. They matter more than you know, because the life you want is being constructed in silence, brick by brick, through the habits you choose to honor daily. Most people chase recognition before they've built reliability. They want the spotlight, the applause, the validation, but they don't want to do the quiet work that nobody claps for. And that's where they fall short, because it's in the shadows of consistency where character is built. It's in the discipline of showing up every day, even when there's no reward, where resilience is formed. Everyone wants to shine, but not everyone is willing to grind. And the truth is, the grind is what earns you the right to shine. Without it, your success won't have a foundation. It'll collapse the moment pressure shows up. But when you've built it on habits that are rooted in self-discipline, focus, purpose, you'll be able to stand firm no matter what comes your way. Habits are the framework of your identity. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Your future isn't shaped by wishful thinking or once-a-year resolutions. It's shaped by what you do every single day. And sometimes that means doing the boring things, the repetitive things, the things that no one talks about because they're not exciting or glamorous. But those are the things that make the difference. Waking up early to pray or journal, staying committed to your financial goals, speaking kindly to yourself when the old thoughts try to creep back in. Those small wins, those small disciplines create a lifestyle that produces results without the need for noise. You have to fall in love with the process, not just the promise. Too many people give up because they don't see fast results. But nothing great happens overnight. Oak trees don't sprout in a day. Muscles don't grow after one workout. Confidence doesn't appear after one success. It's built through daily investment, through hours and hours of unseen effort, through faith that the results will come if you just keep planting seeds. And even when it feels like nothing's changing, everything is. Because something is happening within you. Patience is growing, discipline is growing, belief is growing, and that inner growth always shows up outwardly in time. Let go of the need for applause. You don't need everyone to see your grind. You don't need likes, followers, or external validation to know you're doing something great. The most powerful version of you will be built in private. When you develop the kind of habits that work, even when no one's watching, that's when you know you're becoming unstoppable. Because it's not about doing it for the world, it's about doing it for your future self, for the person you are becoming, for the life you know you were created to live. Every single day is a brick. You're either building something solid or something fragile. And the weight of the future will test it. If your habits are weak, the structure will fall. But if your habits are strong, if they've been forged in quiet moments of effort and consistency, then you'll be ready for anything. You won't just survive success, you sustain it. Because you didn't fake the work, you did it. You didn't rush the process, you respected it, and that kind of foundation can't be shaken because it was never built on applause. It was built on purpose.